All right, Aaron, how do I look?
Bald.
Awesome.
Do you have to be on your phone right now?
Do you have to take 3 times as long as me to get ready?
One of us has to look decent.
So what's your excuse?
Do you have a shirt that's not covered in dog hair?
Somewhere.
Zach, what are we talking about tonight?
We are talking about James Gunn.
The pro wrestler?
Pro wrestler? No, that's Billy Gunn.
Didn't he just die recently?
What? No, that's Billy Graham.
But isn't he a pro wrestler?
No, he's... Well, yeah. The guy who directs Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, right. What happened again?
Well, he reaffirmed my theory that Twitter exists solely so that high-profile celebrities can shoot their mouths off and get themselves fired.
Yeah, but I mean, he had to say something more than stupid to do that, right?
Well, it was stupid and vulgar, but it was still stupid, vulgar shit.
Yeah, and who wants to sit around and listen to two guys talk about stupid shit? Hey guys, welcome to another exciting episode of Ramblers. This week, we are entering a realm that we don't normally touch on. We're going a little political.
We are blurring the gap between politics and nerd culture as they have unfortunately collided together.
Yes. So, as we mentioned, we are talking about the pro wrestler and director of Guardians of the Galaxy, James Gunn.
And here's where I step in.
Well, okay, fine. Yeah, why don't you step in? So let's tell our viewers. Let's pretend that they don't know what's happening, and let's bring them up to speed, right?
The director, not pro wrestler / evangelical preacher, James Gunn, has been fired, as you all know, from doing Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And it was in relation to some grotesque and vulgar tweets he made years ago. Now, I am not going to verbatim repeat them. A, because I don't really have them off the top of my head word for word, and B, because Google's your best friend. We've all read them. They don't need to be repeated ad nauseum. However, there were things along the lines of pedophilia jokes. There were rape jokes in there. James Gunn, for all intents and purposes, tried to be a provocateur or some sort of shock comic. And keeping with the pro wrestling theme, that's cheap heat and it's stupid. Nobody actually appreciates it. I shouldn't say nobody. Some people do, but nobody who's, above a 3rd grade intelligence. I hope I offended somebody with that.
You did!
And
thanks for watching, Rich. We appreciate you. Subscribe. It's unfortunate we just lost you.
So, how it happened, I'm not fully in agreement with, but then this is going to go back into how we talk in a little bit here about some muddied waters.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, James Gunn has been a very outspoken opponent of President Donald Trump. As many a celebrity has tended to be lately. And God, why can't I remember his name now? Now you got me messing up names. Alex Cernovich or John Cernovich, one of the two. I can't remember his name, but Mr. Cernovich, a alt-right, frankly conspiracy theorist, in my opinion, went digging around in retaliation in his Twitter feed, looking for ammo. Because quite frankly, if you've paid attention for the last 10 years, Twitter is the best place to find somebody shooting their mouth off in a way that gets them fired.
Mm-hmm.
And he did exactly that. He dove far enough to find those pedophilia, rape, etc. jokes, and he unleashed them. And of course, when Mr. Cernovich released them, it was hardly exaggerated, but it didn't matter. When I say exaggerate, I mean he's talking about tens of thousands of tweets. He only needed 2. And as soon as Disney got wind of this, we're talking about like by the minute, Gunn was erased from the project. Disney released a statement apologizing, saying those opinions are not shared by the Disney Corporation, that they're a family-friendly institution who cannot support that level of humor. And, right, frankly, I don't think anybody should be surprised. I have a lot of thoughts on this, and they're kind of broken up into subtopics. I've been rambling for long enough this time. I'd like Aaron to take the floor for a bit. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about what's going on in your head?
So, we're going to ramble, y'all. So, basically, okay, here's where my issue lies with this. You have people on many sides of this topic. You have people who support Gunn completely and say that's not the person he is, and you have the people who oppose Gunn and say, well, he said these things, he needs to be fired. Okay. So let's start with my first issue with the whole thing. First of all, it's a man who supports somebody who has said as bad, if not worse, things, looking for these sorts of tweets and uses them to get him fired. On the exact opposite side are people who are now supporting Gunn, saying it's not who he is anymore, right, and those things shouldn't matter, but then in the same breath go against the other side, say, but that person needs to be removed because of the things that they've said. It's a very confusing, very diluted sort of situation here where I get that as human beings, we're all hypocritical to a certain degree. We all are. I've been hypocritical. But nothing frustrates me faster than hypocrisy, including when I catch myself doing it. Oh, I get so angry at myself.
I get angry at him, too. So
it's true. So it's interesting, kind of this perspective. And I'm not going to, like, sit here and beat around the bush. I'm going to tell you right up front that, like, my opinion on this is I don't know. I don't know where to fall on this, to be entirely honest, right? And I'm hoping by the time I get done rambling with you all, I have figured it out, and maybe we can all share in some feels together. But this is a subject that, first of all, these jokes, I don't think comics who do them on stage are funny. I think they're cheap jokes. I think they're easy jokes. Rachel's pointed out before in the past that I have a tendency when I first meet people, I used to go for these cheap and easy jokes. Not quite to that extreme, but sexual jokes, that sort of stuff. Very, very easy target jokes. The low-hanging fruit, if you will. Which drives Rachel, that drove her nuts. Because she always said, you're far more intelligent than that. You can do better. And frankly, she's right. I don't know about the intelligent part, but I can do better.
Jury's still out on that.
Right. But so I don't find stand-up comics that funny. Okay, let's give another example. One of the things, the only stand-up comedian I've ever seen live was Dane Cook.
Oh, you poor man.
Okay, but in his heyday, he was good.
Oh.
In his heyday, he was popular, he was good. But I went and I saw his live concert. And it was right after his mother passed away. That man should not have been on stage. He wasn't funny. It was low-hanging fruit jokes, and basically the punchline was just whatever vulgar word he could think of at the time.
So it was a Dane Cook routine.
Just make sure she didn't walk through it.
I just remember his early stuff not being that vulgar.
I'm biased. I'm going to take myself out of this conversation.
But here's the thing, right? It's like I compare like the Dane Cook I remember like listening to the recordings of and the stuff I saw live. Like we're talking like his recordings seemed like stuff like the church probably uses for a good laugh. That's how vulgar his show got. It wasn't funny to me. I was actually highly disappointed that I paid that kind of money. It's just that those kinds of jokes aren't funny no matter what side I fall on. At the same time, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that like I support another person who goes out on television and says, well, if you're famous, you can do whatever you want to women, including grab them by the...
By the what?
Kitty cat.
I know we can't say this.
Grab him by the kitty cat.
Well, I firmly believe Aaron when he says he's not certain where he kind of falls on this. Unfortunately, for a lot of you, I'm going to be spouting some very hard-to-swallow pills here. I know exactly how I feel about this. It's not a confusing situation. It's an entrapping situation. Because in 2016, when, a presidential candidate made a comment to a shock jock, basically, that you could grab women anywhere you wanted. We took that, frankly, for what it was, which was evidence that he felt he could do this, that he probably assuredly has, and a lot of people on that party decided, oh, it was 10 years ago. You can't, more than 10 years ago. You can't hold that against him and pretend he hasn't changed. Where you fall on that, that's up to you. However, look where we are now. Somebody unearths tweets from a Twitter account. Twitter just needs to vanish. Okay?
I agree.
Get rid of Twitter. You're just going to get yourself fired if you're
I'm
a
actually
celebrity.
banished for life from Twitter.
You need to tell me that story later. Now we've found jokes that aren't funny and they serve no purpose except to be gross from James Gunn. And what do we have? We have fans of his. We have actors under him all supporting. You can't hold that against him. That was a long time ago. It was in bad taste and terrible, but that does not reflect who he is today, and he's a changed man. Which, for the record, I have no problem believing that.
Right.
Hollywood has no problem calling out sleazeballs. It's frankly almost their low-hanging fruit at this point.
Mm-hmm. It seems like there's a new one
perverts,
every probably week or so.
If you hear about it, get rid of them.
Mm-hmm.
So for his entire cast and crew and most people involved to be petitioning for him, like, we want him back. He's not a bad man. I don't know James Gunn, and regardless how you feel, you don't know James Gunn either, so we can't decide what kind of person he really is.
That's true, but Mr. Gunn, if you want to come on here and explain yourself,
we'd
we'll
love
gladly
it.
accept it.
Yes.
Sorry, I interrupted.
No, but you can't. It's the double standard. What points somebody's going to have to make a concession on one side or the other, and we're not going to do that because, as you pointed out, that's who we are as human beings. But people are starting to give backlash to Disney on this, and we're like, what do you think? Disney needs to cover themselves here, and
right.
when one of their, because Guardians is big. Guardians is one of their big
moneymakers.
Thank you. I know there's a more technical term than that, but it evaded me. So he's in the spotlight. He's big profile. Everybody, even at this point, everybody knows James Gunn as the director, which is usually a lot more than people know about directors. I mean, we've all heard of Spielberg. Can you really name more directors than Spielberg and Scorsese without really, thinking too hard about it? Directors don't get as much press as the actors do. And
Kenneth Branagh.
I'll have to look that one up.
He did a lot of Shakespeare films.
Okay, cool. And honestly, he's become a household name just because of his work with Guardians. So with all that rambling aside, they had to come out with something. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can't find out that the director of one of your most popular, one of your hottest franchises, that was the word I had been searching for, was making rape jokes, was making pedophile jokes about a family company. And there are people starting to release all these memes in retaliation, one of which is, oh, Disney, you were such a family company, and it's next to a picture of Donald Duck reading Mein Kampf, which, yeah, that's, in a lot of ways, that's low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
It makes the point, but you cannot deny in the last several decades, Disney has established themselves as the family company. If you really want to get down to it, you had to see this coming, all right? Disney had to have a response. And no, they can't keep you around if they find out that you are making or have made at any point these kind of jokes. Mm-hmm. Really, let's flip it around, okay? The family company Disney finds out about this and makes a statement that says, well, we trust in James Gunn. You think that, you think that makes them look mature and progressive right now, but that can of worms, they will not be ready for that. I mean, I hate to tell you this, but it's a lot of those people you're making fun of on the other side that love Disney, and Disney's a business, okay? And
yes.
that is unfortunately the thing people need to accept is, I often bemoan this point that a business needs to make money. Business does need to keep its interests intact. I mean, not to try, I've yelled at you for going off topic here, but I've seen people who are boycotting Stubbs barbecue sauce because it's listing non-GMOs, because that's offensive to the farming community. And really, I'm only throwing that out there because, like, you have to realize a business is going to market towards their customers, and the customers are not going to appreciate finding that the director of Guardians of the Galaxy was joking about touching little boys. It's a stupid situation. He said stupid things, and they caught up with him, and he's being punished for it now. That's really the long and short of it, and you should have feelings one way or the other on that, but to make declarations that Disney shouldn't be doing this, or we shouldn't think about this. Here's another pill you're not going to want to swallow, and really hope we don't lose viewers over this, but here it is. This is the world we've built. It really is. To give you an idea of things, Aaron and I have actually reshot this entire episode twice now.
Yes.
And there are hard cuts in the middle here, because there were no less than 30 jokes, and this comes from two ultra-liberal hippies, who are very sensitive. Oh, shut up. Who are very sensitive towards our LGBTQ friends, towards our liberal friends, who typically don't swing conservative at all.
Hell, I'm sensitive towards my conservative friends too.
Okay, well, I'm not. But, and even we were like, we can't say this, we can't say that, we can't do this. I mean, after a certain point, you will have to realize people really are just don't mean the things that they said back then, or don't mean today, or even then, I know this is making people mad, and that's really a dumb situation.
Mm-hmm.
We really shouldn't have to re-record our show 4 times, 3 times, 2 times. James Gunn really shouldn't be. Well, I mean, he should have had the foresight to delete his damn tweets from
right.
years ago. But shouldn't really. We're gamers, Aaron and I.
Mm-hmm.
If you've played a game on the internet, you've heard the most vile, awful things. Do you know how many different rotten things people have done to my mother? I mean, yeah, exactly. It's the world we live in, and we are. I want to say we're slowly cleaning it up, but we're not. The video games are still a cesspool.
But and here's the thing, right? With the video games, unless you're streaming, and I've noticed I even do it when I stream. If I'm not streaming, I'll say things that would make your skin crawl, right? And we create a certain persona. Let's be real about this, right? We create a certain persona for the camera, for our viewers and stuff. That, well, it's us. You do get us. We censor ourselves. Again, we've refilmed because I'll admit, I got carried away, and we had to go back and just say, you know what? We have to censor ourselves. I do it when I stream. I censor. The first thing I always tell people when I start streaming, right before I hit go live with my group, is I say, no racial slurs, because it gets blocked on YouTube. It gets kicked off Twitch, right? So every way in which we
leave your channel,
right? And so every way we go about trying to monetize, we get flipped off of monetization if we say anything racist, which, as you should. Right?
Which we're not going. We don't support that.
Right. I'm not saying that.
The point you're making here, though, and I agree with you, is the amount of things we have to stop saying is not just in the extremes we pretend it is. Like you're saying, oh, of course you shouldn't say racist things. Yes, of course.
Of course you should.
You're correct. But the amount of teeny tiny little things that didn't even have to do with race or sex or emotional issues or anything, that we both had to look at each other and be like, that's going to be too risque. Hate me for this all you want, but it's getting silly. Mm-hmm. It really is. And I don't know where to go from there. You could say, as Rachel has said, you are far more clever than some of the jokes you make. That's fine, but what jokes will be off limits at certain points? Or rather, what jokes will be allowed to say? I often come from just the kind of person I am, the George Carlin school, and I never used to. I used to hate that he said something like this.
Mm-hmm. Fuck these boomers, fuck these yuppies, and fuck everybody, now that I think of it.
And so I used to get really mad at his kind of mentality that either nothing's off limits or everything is. But I think I start to kind of feel that way as time goes on. Mm-hmm. And I'm at this weird point in my life now where I feel it's not that I think somebody should make a sexual joke or a pedophilia joke, but if they make one, I could just choose to turn them off and stop paying attention to them,
right,
and just cut them out of my life. I don't necessarily need them fired from whatever it is they do. I mean, me being the bitter, awful person I am, I'd like to see it. I'd love it if everybody that ever wronged me got fired from their job.
Well, that's just because you're getting old.
That's because I'm crotchety and awful. Mm-hmm. But realistically, we are in a rough situation here because, really, if James Gunn is forgiven and reinstated as the director / writer / everything of Guardians 3, and I kind of feel like he should be, what limit will we then want to draw as a society? we're going to have to admit that people can change. And if somebody said something even vile, and those were vile things, that as time goes on, they change as people, and they're not that way anymore. That's all my feelings on there. I think we probably lost enough viewers at this point.
Can I say that, like, I think there is a differentiation too, right? As time goes on, you can tell which people have changed, right? That statement that was made on Access Hollywood or whatever it is, I think in current days we've been backed up enough to prove that there's no change there. I mean, honestly, right? Has Gunn changed, or did he just get smarter and stop posting things like Roseanne Barr all over Twitter?
It's true. Did Gunn change, or is the theory true that he just found a much more lucrative way and not have to say those things anymore? Do I know whether he's reformed or repentant? I mean, I think he is. I'd feel pretty bad if I didn't get to work for Disney anymore because of something stupid I said.
Right, but at what point did you reform and become repentant, right? Was it after Disney fired you?
Possibly.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, then that's that you're not really sorry, you're sorry you got caught kind of mentality.
Really, how many of us simply haven't been caught saying gross things? And I mean anything.
And
fat insults, sexual insults, anything you want to go. How many of you watching this have at least once in your life said something that you're like, I'm really glad nobody really heard that or has that on tape? I bet it's a lot.
Yeah, no, I think it's true. And I'm not saying that, like, you shouldn't be able to be yourself around your friends if that's the kind of jokes and stuff you do. But I think if you're going to be that type of personality, particularly if you're going to be that type of personality in public, right? James Gunn was trying to become a public figure, is a public figure. You have to answer for that stuff. And that's really what it comes down to, right? We have 200 subscribers, a few Twitch followers and stuff. We're not public figures yet.
10 years from now, somebody can come reference this video, though.
Oh, yes, they can. And be like, remember back when you said you didn't know how to make jokes? That's why we can't hire you.
I'll show you for that.
Right. But my point is like, when you're a public figure, you do have to answer for some of that stuff. For tweets and things on Facebook. You know, and I agree with what you said earlier. If you don't want... And I know, if it's on the internet, it's never gone forever. If they really wanted, they probably could have found it even if he had deleted that stuff. But do yourself a favor. Delete it.
Get off Twitter. What is it good for other than getting yourself fired? Sorry, that's just my own personal bias.
No, I don't disagree. I think it just seems like so many people get in trouble using Twitter, except for one person.
Yeah.
One person doesn't ever seem to get in trouble, and I don't understand it.
Well, depending on who you talk to, he gets in trouble for everything.
Beyond reproach. Well, he didn't lose his job over it.
Well, yeah, it's kind of hard to lose that job. It really is. So, but, I mean, you got to admit, a bit of a bit of poetic justice. The man wanted to provoke people and shock somebody. Well, he did.
Yeah.
It was years later.
Yeah, it's true.
I want to present you with a question, and we're just gonna we'll wrap up our feelings succinctly on this. Do you think, giving all that's happened, giving our thoughts and our opinions, do you think James Gunn should be reinstated as the director for Guardians of the Galaxy 3?
Best thing I could say is, you know what, Disney, do an investigation. I know it sounds silly, I know it sounds bureaucratic, but truly do an investigation, do the timeline, see if, like, have those words, have those policies, has that attitude actually changed over the course of the years? If so, I think it's safe to reinstate him. Because he's proven that he has changed over the course of the decade, and that it wasn't Disney firing him that forced him to change, right? Do the research, do the investigation. So when I say investigation, that's what I'm talking about. We know he said it, it's on Twitter. But I would like to see an investigation, and if Disney feels at the end of it that, you know what? He has clearly changed as a person. He followed a different calling, a better calling. We're humans. We're all going to make mistakes.
All right.
We're all going to make mistakes, especially as young adults.
Or old adults. Or even older adults.
Yeah.
Because we're humans, and that's what we do.
Right. So, that's how I'd like to see it happen.
Sure.
To get him reinstated. Would I like to see him reinstated? Yes, but I feel like that's Disney's call in the end, and they need to do an investigation. Because my fear is, honestly, is no matter who comes in next, is Guardians 3 going to be different? I don't know if I'm going to like it.
or they will try too hard to imitate the style of Gunn, and it'll just be forced and terrible. I foresee that myself. Of course, at this point, they'd probably end up shelling out the money for a really good director who, at the very least, will make a good movie, even if it's not as funny as what Gunn would have done or in his style.
Disney, I am willing to take your bid.
That was the funniest joke all day.
It's the only joke.
Yeah, no kidding. My feelings, personally, I would like to see James Gunn. Keep in mind, I don't even like James Gunn. You're going to sit here and be like, you're defending him so hard. I kind of am, because of what this whole situation represents. I don't even like James Gunn. I liked Guardians of the Galaxy 1 a lot. I thought 2 was really dumb. And the way that Guardians has bled into everything Marvel has done since Guardians came out, I can't forgive. You've heard me rant about that forever.
And if you want to hear a full rant about it, make sure you check out our Avengers.
Yeah, our first episode.
Infinity War review. You could find that for the $20 Patreon.
And I love that plug you fit in there. That was good. High five.
Yeah! One plug, one joke. That's it.
So
what you were here for, right?
I would like to see, all that said, I would like to see him reinstated. And I'd like us to actually come and reflect on a bit whether or not, if somebody said one thing, one time, ever, that they should never be forgiven for the rest of their lives. And you could say, but Zach, that stuff he said is never funny. You're correct. I agree with that. Not whatsoever is that ever funny. But are you willing to hold on to the opinion that people never change and they are what they say forever once? And if you are, you better hope nobody finds your skeletons.
Yep.
That's all I'm going to say. So I don't want to turn this into too, like it already has been, emotional, political. A lot of it does still have to do with a nerdy topic. It is still about James Gunn being the director of Guardians 3. My final, it's Disney's call, and I understand. I even said Disney has to be a business and has to make their business decisions.
They have to protect their profits.
In a vacuum, I'd like to see it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's who he is anymore. I have no proof of that, but that's just my opinion.
We'll get proof when Mr. Gunn, you come on this show.
Yes. Come deliver your case.
Yeah.
We'll help you back
to all 200 of our subscribers.
And then we can be in Guardians 4.
Anyways, thanks so much for joining us this evening. We are aware that this is a heavy topic. It's a deep topic, and honestly, it probably could have gone on forever, and I think we've only scratched the surface.
Absolutely.
It got a little political. It got a little convoluted. Is that the word I'm looking for here?
Went on some bunny trails.
Right.
It went every which way.
So, if you stuck with us, we really do appreciate it. But the truth is, what we wanted to do with this episode is, one of the things we really want to do, honestly, is open discussions with you guys. So hopefully, it's been working recently. We've been getting a little bit of discussion going on in the comment page, which is awesome.
We love it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. But we really want to blow that conversation piece open. The other reason we want to do it is we are working on getting a Discord channel kind of open for Valley Studios Gaming as a whole, so we can get full open discussions going and stuff like that. So please, if you've never done anything else with this one, leave your comments and your thoughts. I really do want to know. I want to know where you land on it. Are we being too harsh? Are we being too wishy-washy? Are we not being harsh enough? Leave your comments below. I wear a military uniform during the week, and the reason I do is because I love our ability and our right to debate and to have our own opinions on things. So please use it. Let's keep conversation healthy, guys. Like, let's not name call.
Let's not make it pointless. Honestly, even if you have tough things you think we don't want to hear, we want to hear it. That's the whole point of this feedback.
Right. We want to hear the tough things. Let's stay away from the name calling, right? The low-hanging fruit. I would love to see an actual discussion happen with this video. Give us feedback. Talk to one another. We really want to build the community because we love you guys so much. You guys have supported us through so much, and we really appreciate it. I don't want to forget, we mentioned all the time, we have a lot of really great things happening.
Absolutely. Exciting things coming on the horizon. And I know you hate me being vague as much as I hate being vague, but it's got to stay that way for just a bit here.
But yes, and that's for something to do particularly with RAMblers.
Yes.
Other than our Rambler stuff, though, we also have a lot of really cool things happening.
Oh, the actual things happening.
The actual things happening. So
this is Aaron's area. I'm gonna let him take this over.
So soon we will be launching a podcast. Now the podcast is Warframe specific. So if you've never played Warframe, we do try and kind of gear it towards beginners, but at the same time we do have open discussion that even veteran players will enjoy. So we will be launching that probably in the next month or so. Along with that, we've kind of dabbled in it, but we will be launching a very serious Tuesday stream, which is Warframe specific. Mm-hmm. And the reason we're doing it is we tie the stream into the topic the night before. So that's just done so you get a visual what we're talking about, because the podcast is a true podcast. Fridays, we have streamers. Recently, Minz has been playing a lot of Street Fighter 5. You need to get on there and play with him.
Yeah, right.
Come on, Minz.
I've not played Street Fighter in years, and I wasn't good at it when I did.
Minz, I say I'm going to put Zach up for a challenge, and he's totally going to accept it. Leave a comment below. Let him know a date, time, and place. He will get online, and he will show you the mad skills he showed me, what was it, last week? 2 weeks ago in Dragon Ball Fighter Z. With that, on that note, as we mentioned before, we are doing a lot of not revamping the show, but we want to kind of open up our arsenal of what we offer you guys.
Right.
So every week we try to stick to one nerd culture topic. This month we ended up with 2. Next week will be another.
That'll be another Rambler play.
Another Rambler play. And then the 4th week will be probably something in the video game world. So normally it'll be first week video game world, second week nerd culture, third week Rambler play, and then 4th week's kind of up for grabs right now. So if you have things you want to see, whether it be in video games, things you want to talk about in nerd culture, games you want us to play, there's a comment section below. I look at it every night before I go to bed. So please, 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 again, let us know. Finally, if you haven't done so already, hit the like, subscribe, bell. Of course, the bell lets you know the notifications when any new material from our channel comes out.
When anything gets released.
Yep, including on the radar. And just so much is going on with this channel right now. It's very exciting, and again, it's all because of you guys. And finally, our Patreon page. If you haven't visited it yet, please, please, please go join our Patreon page. You become a member of an exclusive community. For $1 a month, you get early access to all of the episodes. And right now, we have ranks that go all the way up to $20 a month. $20 a month is the big jackpot. You get the early access like everyone else. You get first pick on merchandise, which I'm working on starting to get some of that created. You get the full podcast. So the podcast will launch out at about an hour-ish long. For the $20 a month, you actually get the full content. Right. And one of the last ones we prepped is 4 hours long. So I really feel bad for you, Rich, if you're still watching it, because you're editing that down to an hour and a half. So a lot of really cool things with that. And then there was something else with the $20 one, but I don't remember anymore. Oh, and then I mentioned it earlier.
Our own Patreon.
The Avengers review.
Our very first episode of Ramblers.
Which is very interesting. We tried something very different, decided it didn't work, and hence...
That's not true. We tried a very familiar thing that did not work with 2 people, unfortunately.
Right, yes. Okay, a very familiar thing that didn't work. Anyways, so that's going to do it for us. Again, please share. It helps us out if you're sharing us.
Mm-hmm. Like, subscribe, hit that bell button, and really just leave us some comments. Let us know how we're doing and what we can do to entertain you further.
And you know what? Let's not forget the fact that we are also a podcast format.
We are in podcast format. So take us on the road with you.
You can take us on the road. Anchor, iTunes. Ray's going to kill me for not remembering what the other one is.
Or me. Sorry, Ray.
We love you, Ray. Please put it out there. He's going to be like, I don't have to do this anymore.
Right? I don't need these guys. I'm going to the big time.
That's right. So thank you so much, and we will see you again next week.